Hi, I'm G.
And I'm Honor.
Today we will be investigating the importance of sleep.
We never get enough of it, but we always need more of it.
We decided to explore this mystery.
So let's talk to the experts.
Let's go.
I think it's changed over my life. At an earlier time, I kind of resented the amount of time that you had to spend sleeping because it kind of seemed a waste. But these days, I love sleep. And I think because I've read a bit of research about it now, I know that poor quality sleep can lead to Alzheimer's and all sorts of other negative health outcomes. So I take it a little more seriously these days than I might have in my younger years.
So starting up the top, the problems that you get in your mind, so the things that you notice are you get a loss of concentration. You find it really, really difficult to start learning new things. So in terms of schoolwork, your schoolwork tends to decrease in how good it is. And another thing that can suffer is your sort of emotional well-being. So people become a lot more emotionally labile when they've got a lack of sleep. And that tends to lead to increased risks of like anxiety and depression.
I think my mood is the biggest thing I notice. If I've had a good night's sleep, I feel positive, I feel ready for the day, whereas if I've had a bad night's sleep, I'm pretty grumpy, I'd say.
Lack of sleep is actually really bad for your heart. People who have poor sleep tend to have an increased risk of high blood pressure, as well as heart attacks and strokes. And the other thing that it can do is it can interfere with your hormones. So the body starts to misinterpret the different signals that it's getting, which means that it can often think that the lack of sleep is actually a signal to eat food, makes you think that you're hungry. So people tend to put on weight and they're at an increased risk of diabetes.
My phone is the biggest contributor to me not falling asleep, so I really try to stay off my phone from about 8:30, and I have my phone scheduled so that I can't access apps from that time. I just know that if I'm doom scrolling before bed, the light is no good to help you unwind.
And just lose track of time, completely lose track of time, and end up as though you are living in an alternate reality to the rest of the world around you. Different time zone, even though you're not in a different time zone. That can be really damaging for relationships and very isolating for the person concerned. And there's probably a line there where somebody needs to get some professional help and think about sensible boundaries. I think I've often had conversations with people I've known for whom, technology is a challenge these days, about the idea of a day a week where you had no tech. And to be honest, most people are not that keen on that idea at all. Life would grind to a halt. So finding that middle place, challenging in today's world for sure.
Ooh. So I think intrinsically we all know that phones are not good for our sleep. But there is actually research to back up that this is actually the case. So the two main things that I would say is, first of all, phones emit what's called blue light. So when you have a phone that's emitting blue light, what that does is it stops the production of the hormone called melatonin, and that's the hormone that you need when you're trying to go to sleep. So if you're not producing that hormone, it means that you're not going to be able to fall asleep that easily. And the other thing is that phones have been designed to be really, really, mentally stimulating. So they're supposed to keep you awake. So the more that you use your phone before bed, the less likely you are to actually fall asleep on time. That's an interesting question. So sleep schedules and sleep hygiene, it actually starts way before it's actually time to go to bed and turn off the lights. So what we say to patients in particular is that good sleep starts with a good setup during the afternoon. So making sure that you're keeping your stress levels nice and low, as well as doing things like exercising, because exercising increases your need for sleep. And then I suppose the other thing that's really important is making sure that you're going to bed and waking up at the same time, even in the weekends, which is really hard to do. And making sure that the environment that you're sleeping in is actually fit to have a good sleep. So that means that the lights are really, really low, and making sure that the temperature's not too hot. So I think the World Health Organization says that your room should be between 16 to 18 degrees. So that's another thing that you can think about.
A good night's sleep is energy, it's focus, it's the ability to be of an even temper, it's tolerance for people who get under your skin a little bit, it's the ability to set things aside more naturally than the extra energy that's required when you're feeling fractious and overtired, for sure.
We use our phones at night to escape our day-to-day life. But in reality, if you look at the big picture, our phones are the thing that make our day-to-day life even harder. What would happen if we did take this advice and put our phones down?